Alright, I gotta show something here. I'm building one of these see-through V8 motors. And they're pretty neat things. I built one when I was a kid and everything was alright. It went okay. And they're rated like 3 from 12 years old up. They're supposed to be able to build these things. Well, I've had one problem after another. I had to shave the pistons down to make them fit together properly, to make them fit into the cylinder holes. Anyway, this thing here, okay, this is one of the heads working on the rocker arm assembly, and this thing here goes through here. I got the other head over there where this one goes through, little rocker arms and stuff. Now these two little things here, let me get this thing. You see this little small hole in this thing? I had to drill it out like this, so that this shaft will fit in there like this. Anyway, so it'll fit in there. You glue it on like that. What I had to do, what I shouldn't have had to do, anyway, let me see if I can figure out how to demonstrate this. Okay, here's one of the rocker arms. Now, say this one on this side here, I had to shave off the outside of this one right here, and then the outside of this one on the far end over here. So that means I had to shave it off here on this end of the motor, and then the far end over there I had to shave off this other end over here, so that this shaft piece would poke out through the end here like this, like you see it there at the end. And I put a little washer on the end of it here, right here, so that the drilled out piece that I made here will fit over the end of it. Well, anyway, this is how they're supposed to be here. These are supposed to have a little piece sticking out the end of them here. Right here where my finger is, they're supposed to have a little piece sticking out that'll stick onto. It's just I've had to do so many modifications on this thing, shaving parts of it, cutting parts of it down, to make things fit together. These two little things here, were supposed to go inside here, one on each end. They don't even fit in there. I mean, there's some parts you absolutely have to custom cut and fit to make it work. These are the little push rod things here. These will go in here to work the rocker arms. A little camshaft in there. It's a neat little model, and parts of it is put together better than the old ones. They get all the bearing cap things, all the main caps, all the junk down there on the crankshaft. They actually bolt on under there, which is pretty cool. And some parts of this in the front, some parts of it bolts together, and some parts glue. But like I said, I had to hold this thing inside these miniature set of vice grips like this, and do it on my drill press over here, and drill the end of the thing out. I had to use a 9/64 drill to make this hole in the thing here, so it'll fit on the end of the thing there. But now I'm going to have to be extremely careful gluing it on there, so the glue won't get through there and to where the whole shaft to be stuck to it and be turning. I mean, it would still function, but that's not a good idea. Because see, the rocker arm would be glued to the thing, and it would be turning the shaft, while the other ones are, see, these things like this. Anyway, I got to do a little bit of loosening up in here on it. I would not recommend this to a 12-year-old. Unless he has a father who's a mechanic with all kind of tools or something. I mean, I've had to do all kind of things to this that I never had to do with the one I built when I was a kid. And like I said, it was way bigger than this. It was huge. And I put it together fine, and it worked and everything. And of course, they're made in China now. Anyway, it's a Revell model. Anyway, I'm going to turn this thing off now. I'll make another video showing how it operates and maybe explain some of this stuff more. There's other things I had to do, but this is the This is just to demonstrate some of the part of what I had to do to it, and just to show some of the weird problems you run into. Alright. Okay, I finally finished this V8 motor model. It turned out pretty cool looking and all, but I still have to say there's no way I'd recommend it for any little kid to put this together. A 12-year-old, I don't know if they'll make it. This is the so-called fan belt. This little miniature rubber band is supposed to go around all these gears here, all these pulleys and things. It is so small. By the time you put it on there, it just pulls the hell out of everything. It's just way too much for it. And the pulleys don't exactly line up the way they should either. This thing, of course, I'd have to mount this more forward. Anyway, another interesting thing that went wrong with this thing, you can see on the back here, look at the direction it says to turn it. It even says in the instructions to turn it counterclockwise. Well, it will not turn counterclockwise. The way the cam is down in there, the way the lobes drop off, it just jams against them, and you absolutely have to turn it counterclockwise. It will jam up and screw up if you turn it the way it says to turn it. But at first I thought it was maybe just this piece, but it also says in the instructions counterclockwise. But if you turn this backwards like this, turn it clockwise, it's just as smooth as it could be. And you can see the pistons going up and down. You can see the pistons going up and down. You can see the little rocker arms working. They're all working. Oh, it is just as smooth as it could be. It's a neat little model, but I had to do so much junk to it. But you can see it going. It's pretty cool the way it works. Of course, it's nowhere near as big as the ones that they had a long time ago. The ones when I was a kid, God, it was like, seems like it was 3 times bigger than it was. It was huge. It was way bigger than this. But the box it comes in, this is monster box it comes in. This is the lid of the box here. That it comes in a giant box. But, you know, it's a cool looking thing. Anyway, it says how big it is on the box, but, you know, you think it's going to be bigger, and it never is. But that's what it looks like in there. And like I said before, it's made in China. Of course, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to paint on it and try to make it look different or make it look hot rodded or anything like some people do. I mean, it's a neat little model. Turning around here a little bit, you can see a little oil here. Even the dipstick works. It's pretty cool the way it is. Another interesting thing, it had half of the carburetor thing in here. Up under there, it had this is part 52. It says 52 inside there. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, there's 2 of these in the kit. There's 2 of these in there. Now, why it came with 2 of these, I don't know. There's your leftover parts. It had some of this stuff to make the plug wire with left over, and of course the fan belt thing I'm not going to put on there. I could probably find a slightly larger rubber band that'll fit, but there's no need to do it. It's cool enough the way it is. It's got a few little screws left over, and that's it. I mean, all the weird work I had to do, and I had to use my drill press and my bench grinder and some other files and these different razor blades. I got an X-Acto knife and another cutting tool. I used this lighter I used here for these screws. Like when you screw these in there to get the cement off, you just hold these with something and you burn the lighter. You burn the lighter on the end of the screw there, and it melts it like whatever contact cement or glue you have on there, it'll burn it right off without hurting the screw. Just use one of these little funky lighters here. This thing looks like a torch. But that's how you get the stuff off the screws and everything that you're using. You know, you thread them in there. When you put them in there, you might get glue in the hole and all that stuff. Anyway, that thing turned out pretty good. I might glue it to the stand. I'll just, you know, I don't want to. But you can see inside of it. See if I can pick it up without slinging it everywhere. You can see the oil pickup inside the oil pan. It's clear. And you can see all the little junk inside there. It's pretty neat the way it is. You know, see all this, if you had the rubber band thing on there, all this would turn and the little front of the generator thing would turn, and of course this is hooked to the crank system. All the wires hook up in order. It tells you what part of the distributor the wires go on. Of course, you got to run the engine backwards. It's just as smooth as it could be backwards. But you try to turn it the other way, the way they drop off on the lobes, it shoves against the bottom of those push rods. It just binds up against them for some reason. I guess the way they planned it, or it's a screwed up design or something. Like I said, it's made in China, but you know, it is an American company. So who knows who screwed it up. This thing here pulls out and you can take all the stuff off the top. You can take some of it apart. The valve covers just stick on there. I mean, you can take it, you can build it to where most of it will come back apart and you can get down in there, you know, for whatever dumb reason. But I guess in case something, you sling a rod or something, you can go there and fix it. Of course, I'm not going to play with it too much. Anyway, it was, like I said, I sure don't recommend it to a 12-year-old. Here's a little book thing that comes with it. Kids read it, how an auto engine works. It's a pretty neat little book. It's got illustrations. It shows demonstrations of the cams and pistons and stuff in there. It's got shows the fuel line going to the tank and like the fuel pump operation, stuff like that. Turn a few pages. Shows a spark plug hookup. Oh, that ain't bad. It's about $40 to get it. You know, I got it off the internet, you know, through plastic models. Anyway, oh, that's pretty neat. It's a neat little thing. Anyway, that's it. If you just want a big headache, I mean, it's kind of worth it when you get to the end, but like I said, there's no way a kid's going to put this together. Because when I was a kid, when I was that age, at the youngest age there was, I put one of these, the ones I used to have back then, I put it together, no problem. This thing here, you're going to have a problem. There's a lot of problems. I hit on most of them, but anyway, that's it.